kindly let the record reflect that there are no hands in the air and that the panel is made up of white men. This is not a pejorative. You've all sermonized to a certain extent about diversity. If you believe that your likely successor will be a woman or a person of color, would you kindly extend a hand into the air? Let the record reflect. For fear that you may not hear me, just raise your hand now so that I'll know you're there. Raise your hand, please. All of you, sir, apparently you don't hear me over on the end. Would you kindly extend a hand into the air if you can hear me? Next to the gentleman that raised his hand, would you extend a hand, please? With the glasses, perhaps I should call your name. Mr. Sharp, would you? Thank you. I know it's difficult to go on the record sometimes, but the record has to be made. All white men, and none of you, not one, appears to believe that your successor will be a female or a person of color. Is your bank likely to have a female or person of color within the next decade? Kindly extend a hand into the air. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Without giving the commentary that I would dearly like to give, I'll move on. You know, I'm sitting next to a reverend, and I've heard him say that he'd rather see a sermon than hear a sermon. Let us have an opportunity to see a sermon when you return. Next question has to do with something near and dear to my heart. My ancestors were slaves. In 2005, is it true that J.P. Morgan released information directly indicating that it directly benefited from slavery? Would the representative from J.P. Morgan respond?
I do believe that in 2005 we made a report about potential transactions that involved slavery between J.P. Morgan or its heritage companies back in the 1800s.
In fact, there was an indication, I believe, that you accepted loans against slaves as collateral. True?
I believe that to be true, yes.
For edification purposes, have any of the other banks compiled a study as to whether or not you have benefited from slavery? If so, raise your hand, please. Let the record reflect that none have raised a hand. Not one has raised a hand. Do you believe that your bank benefited from slavery in some way in terms of its business practices? If so, raise your hand. If you do not believe that it benefited, raise your hand. Let the record reflect that all but Mr. Dimon raised a hand. Thank you. Let's move on. I'm concerned now about the raise that B of A has indicated it will accord. I think that you indicated that there will be a raise in the near future. Is this correct, the representative from B of A?
Yes, we said that we would raise our minimum starting pay from the current level of about $15.50, $16 an hour to $20 an hour over the next 2 years.
Is there a bank that will have an amount that will exceed the $20 per hour within the same time period? If so, would you raise your hand? Or if you currently pay more than $20 an hour, raise your hand, please. Well, B of A, you to be commended for what you're doing in terms of raising the wage. I thank all of you. My time is up, but I do want you to know that we believe you can do better.